Hi, I'm Loretta Barra with Loretta Barra Art. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so looking forward to the autumn fall season with all the pretty colors of oranges and yellows and browns and reds. Here we go. These are the colors we're using today: yellow, white, dark brown, black, and orange. We're going to paint this kitty cat looking out the window. There's a cup of coffee nearby. She's waiting for you to come and join her, and she's just looking at the sun. So let's get started. We're going to start by working on the sun. We're going to use some yellow paint with a touch of white. And we're going to fill in that sun. And not too much yellow. It's not a summer sun, it's an autumn sun. So there's a little bit of mist in the air. So we're just going to do that. And then we're going to paint the sky with some yellow and white. It's a hazy, sunny day, hazy sky, not too bright. If it looks too bright, just keep adding some white. Now my pencil mark from the tracer is showing through. That's okay, we'll go over it. Once the paint dries, we can go back and make it a little darker around there. Sometimes the paints are a little transparent. So we're just gonna fill this in. Before I get to the window frame, I'm working on the window ledge, and I'm putting some yellow around here, but there are going to be shadows where the coffee cup and the little kitty is sitting. So this is pure yellow, and then I'm going to add a little bit of brown where the shadow is. So I've done it here where the kitty cat is sitting. There's a little bit of brown here, just for the shadow. There's going to be a little bit of brown down here. So it's sort of mixed with the yellow on my brush. And the reason you want to have a little bit of shadow is so that the item doesn't look like it's just floating in space. So we've got a little shadow under the cup. And I'm going to wipe off my brush a little and add more yellow. Put a little bit of shadow in here also. Just a tiny bit there. And a little bit of shadow here, with the brown. Now this painting, as well as some other ones, the tracers and directions, step-by-step directions and supply lists are all on my Etsy store. And there is a link below where you can get to it. I have sales going on quite often, so check my Etsy shop. It's Printables by Loretta. And they're not very expensive. They're usually about $2 to $4. And they're a lot of fun. It makes it fun when you can just trace something and start painting without trying to figure out what you want to paint. And these are good for your paint parties. Some of them are just for personal paint parties, and some are for in profit. This particular one is from it's a company that I'm a part of called Paint Party Headquarters, so you cannot use this one for in-profit paint parties unless you're part of that organization. But I do have other ones on there that you can use for in-profit paint parties. But this is fun, like a family gathering. You could all do it together or just paint it by yourself. Anyway, next I'm going to be adding some other colors in here. We're going to work on the window frame a little later on. So I'm going to speed us up again. We're going to start working on the trees, which are a mixture of orange and yellow. And what we'll be doing is swishing the colors on. It's called double loading your brush. I have both colors on my brush, and I'm just going to be mashing the colors like this so that it looks like there's some texture there. Okay. So we've got all the orange and yellow now, and what we're going to do next is start working with black. But before I do that, I want to work on the sun a little bit. I'm going to add a little more white, and white might cover the pencil marks a little more. The yellow is quite transparent, so let's put some white around here, and then we'll add more yellow so that sun will stand out a little more. I don't know if you noticed what I did. I was trying to add some red with the orange to see how that would look, but I didn't care for the way it looked. I'm going to go over these trees with a second coat of orange and yellow. So there's the sun on this hazy day. Okay, so let's add more orange and yellow. The painting, there's a tiger lily color, deco art, that is a little darker orange, and I don't have it. So I'm using jack-o'-lantern orange. But it'll be just fine. So as you see, I'm just smashing the color on with the brush. And I'm kind of covering some of these lines. That's okay, I'm gonna come back with black. So I'll clean that up. Do you see adding another coat really makes a difference? And these I'm just gonna smash up here with the point of the brush, so it looks a little more tree-like. Now I don't want to go too far into where the brown's going to be. That's the window frame. Okay, so let's work on that second coat, and then we'll start working on the window frame. No, actually, I think what we'll do instead, we're going to use black and go on the black cat and the trees. We've got the large portion of the cat and the cup done with the bigger brush. It was a size 12, and now I'm switching to a size 8. It's a smaller brush so I could get into more of the details, because the big one was, even though it has a point, it was getting a little difficult to use. So we're at the size 8 now, and that way I could be a little more careful with the details. And if you notice, I turn the painting as I'm going along just to make it easier. I like to put my pinky on the canvas so that I've got some control over the brush by gliding along with my little finger on the canvas, so it keeps it more steady. If you have very steady hands, you don't have to do that, but mine tend to shake a little sometimes, especially if I'm really concentrating. So anyway, we're just going to be painting all of this black. And whenever I teach paint parties or I'm painting a painting, when I'm halfway through, I think, oh my God, this does not look good. But by the time I'm done, I tend to like the painting, and so do the people in my paint parties. They're all like, oh my God, I didn't think it would look good. But it does by the time you're finished. Step by step, we just move along. I like this kitty. I used to have a black and white kitty, and she lived to be over 19 years old. She used to paint with me. She was my muse. If you ever look at my paintings on my website or on Instagram or Facebook and look closely, you will see my little Mixie cat in there. She's usually in the windows looking out if I have a house or something. She used to love to paint with me, and I do have some paintings of her as well. Okay, so that's the black. Now we're going to work on the window frame, and it's brown. You can do any color. It doesn't have to be a brown window frame, but that's the color I'm going to use today. Let's see, we'll start at the top. I'm just gonna... One thing that's fun to do when you're painting wood is put a couple of different colors on your brush, like a gray and brown and white, and have the different grains of the wood show. That's just a thought. But I'm just going to start out with brown. This is a dark chocolate brown. It's called Deco Art. You can use any brown. You can use any color you want. Sometimes it's fun to do like a red window frame. That would be pretty for the fall. Now, if you notice, I had gone over the line with the orange tree, but that's okay because the brown is darker, so I'm covering it. And this is going to take more than one coat. So we'll just do one coat, let it dry, and come back with another one. Now I'm still using the small brush. You can go back to the larger one if you'd like. So now I notice that I left out a little part here that's supposed to be yellow. So I'm cleaning my brush, and I'm going to come in with the white and the yellow and put that right here where the sky is. There's always something that you leave out when you paint. Okay, and then this has to be white, and we're going to add some white highlights on the mug. And I'm going back to my white and the little brush. And we're going to put the steam coming from the coffee right here. We might need to put 2 coats. Let's see how it goes. And then it's time for touch-up. When you're done, you'll notice little things where you need to go over them with paint. And the good thing about acrylic is once it dries, you just go over it and it's not a problem. So I'm just putting my white steam coming up from the coffee mug. Okay, and I'm going to put some highlights on the cup. I like highlights. I think they add quite a bit of sparkle to a painting. I'm going to put some on Kitty. Just a little bit. And that's about it for the highlights. I think we'll do a little more shadowing under the kitty and the mug with brown. Tiny bit of yellow. A little darker. Just to hold the kitty down on the canvas. And by the way, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. I'm going to be adding a lot more paintings. I've been very busy with paint parties, and so I haven't been putting much on YouTube, but I'm going to be adding more on YouTube for the holidays. And I also have some from last Christmas. Take a look at those. They're a lot of fun to paint. Some are just to watch and some are to paint along with me, like this one. Hopefully you painted this along with me, or you're going to paint it later. And I'm going to put a little more shadow here under the tail. I will be teaching you some tips with watercolor as well. We'll be getting into that in the next week or two. There we go, and that's it. We're ready for a cup of coffee, looking out the window. We can do another coat of brown on the windows. You can add more color to the trees. I hope you had fun watching and painting along with me. Loretta Barra Art, and I hope you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and hit that notification button for more videos to learn how to paint with acrylic and watercolor. Thanks for watching.